I heard an almighty crash and a scream. My baby. I went to the top of the stairs to see what was going on and found my little sister crumpled at the bottom of the stairs, arm twist wrong.
What happened?
I accidentally broke John's toy box and he pushed me down the stairs.
Oh no, we've let this go too far. Jean, you take Alina to the hospital. I'll deal with John. I didn't say anything. My dad packed my suitcase and then took me to my grandma's house. I got out of the car and let them drive away.
Johnny, is that you?
Yes, Grandma, it's me. No matter how many cookies Grandma gave me, I still felt rotten. My parents didn't want me. My sister was and I didn't know what my life was going to look like from here on out. 2 years after dropping me off, my grandma died. My name is John, and my story starts when I was 10 years old. My little sister was 8, and she was spoiled. She was given everything she wanted at the drop of a hat. My mom and dad ran after her all the time, never saying no to her. By the time she was 8, she was utterly ruined. She screamed the moment she thought she was going to be denied something. She broke my toys if she thought they were nicer than hers, even though they never were. She put my baby blanket in the blender, my childhood teddy in the campfire, and any action figures I had were mutilated. I told my parents that she was destroying my stuff, but they brushed it off, saying it was simply sibling rivalry.
Stop trying to get your sister in trouble, John. You're the older sibling. You have to be the better person.
But being the better person had no benefits. I just had to continually suffer. It was utterly miserable. That is, until my birthday. I'd made an agreement with my parents several months before. If I can save up a quarter of the cost, they will buy me the big new console. I had taken up washing cars and mowing lawns, as well as helping around the house. For those 6 months, I worked and studied and barely had a moment to be near my sister. That, it turned out, was a bad idea. John, old champ, your birthday is right around the corner. How are you feeling? Any idea where we go for food?
I want to go to Burger Room.
We'll go for your birthday, Poppet, but this time it's John's.
No. I want Burger Room. I want.
I was impressed that they'd said now, but my shoulders had already dropped. I knew that if she was putting up a fuss, it was just a matter of time before I was going to be pushed aside. Now, dear, don't you want your brother to enjoy his special day?
No.
My dad just laughed. I decided to agree to Burger Room just to make things easier, but it didn't. My sister bugged my parents in the days leading up for her own gifts. When they tried to reason with her, she got mean. She threw her dolls out of the window and blamed me.
I think he's just acting out.
No matter how often I tried to convince them I wasn't doing anything wrong, they wouldn't believe me. When my birthday came, I couldn't even muster up the excitement. Come on, John. Why the long face? You can't be sad on your own birthday.
Yeah, John. It's your birthday. You should be happy.
She had a nasty glint in her eye that I didn't trust for 1 second. She was trying to get me in trouble, but I don't know how. We ate burgers, but my sister stole my fries. We ordered ice cream, but she poured salt on mine. When the cake came out, she blew on the candles. And then, when the gifts came, she had more than me. We just didn't want her to feel left out. I understand. Thanks, Dad. She opened gift after gift, and I knew immediately that my parents had spent more money on her than they had me. I felt spoiled just comparing, but it was supposed to be my special day. One day a year where I got to have their attention on me. My sister kicked me under the table the whole time while I was opening my gifts. I got a t-shirt for a band I'd never heard of, a gift voucher for a bookstore, and a pencil case with a character I didn't care for. The gifts were more in line with what you would buy for the child of a distant friend, not a son. But I didn't say anything. My heart sank. All that work, and for nothing. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. I love it.
Yeah. My stuff is so great. I love my new dolls and my beautiful new dollhouse. You're the best.
In the car on the way back from the restaurant, I tried not to be too obviously sad. They had tried. I couldn't blame them for that. Though as we parked up, I wondered if it would be rude to ask for the money I had earned back. By the time I got inside, I decided maybe I should give it a day. Wait, John, before you go to your room, will you help me clean the kitchen? Clean the kitchen? He'd never asked me to do that before. But as my mom ushered my sister upstairs, I followed my dad into the kitchen. On the table, next to a small cupcake, but a huge box.
I know your sister can be very demanding sometimes, so we wanted to do this for you.
I was so heartwarmed that I didn't know what to say. I threw myself at my dad and gave him the biggest hug I've ever given anyone before. He lit the candle, and I got to blow it out. Then, I tore into the box. It was the game console I wanted. That was the last time in a long time that I got to feel happy. That night, I went to bed after plugging my new console in. When I got home from school the next day, I was so excited to play my game. My classmates all had the console too. We were going to meet online and play for hours and hours until bedtime. But when I got home, my console was broken. It was smashed up and the insides of it were outside. I knew it was my sister who did it. Alina! Alina appeared in front of me, grinning.
Yes?
You broke it! How could you? I'm telling Mom and Dad.
Fine.
I felt like I was walking into a trap. Fine?
Fine. You tell them I broke it, and I'll tell them you pushed me down the stairs.
But I didn't.
But I'll make it look like you did.
That's blackmail.
I know. I looked it up. And if you don't clean my room every day for the next month, I'll tell them you hit me all the time. And that's why I'm acting out.
I could see it all playing out in my head. Her accusing me. My parents kicking me out. They'd never take my side over hers. They knew she was awful, but I don't think they really understood. From that day on, I had to clean my sister's room. She'd spill drinks on the floor or knock over her bin on purpose, and if I ever looked like I was going to complain, she'd remind me that I was minutes away from being left out in the cold.
Clean up that mess. Wash the windows. Vacuum the carpet.
Every day, I got angrier and angrier. She had taken away the one thing I was looking forward to the most. After that, I didn't see anything I was excited for. So, I stopped going into her room.
You're supposed to be cleaning my room.
I don't care. She left with a stamp of her foot, and a minute later, I heard an almighty crash and a scream.
My baby.
I went to the top of the stairs to see what was going on and found my little sister crumpled at the bottom of the stairs, arm twist wrong.
What happened?
I accidentally broke John's toy box and he pushed me down the stairs.
Oh no, we've let this go too far. Jean, you take Alina to the hospital. I'll deal with John.
I didn't say anything. My dad packed my suitcase and then took me to my grandma's house. I got out of the car and let them drive away.
Johnny, is that you?
Yes, Grandma, it's me. I cried and cried and cried. No matter how many cookies Grandma gave me, I still felt rotten. My parents didn't want me. My sister was ill, and I didn't know what my life was going to look like from here on out. 2 years after dropping me off, my grandma died. She was old and sick and had never legally taken custody of me. So when she died, I was left in her house alone because no one knew to look after me. And then I stayed in school. I thought about what I'd given up. That day I refused to give in to my sister. I thought about it, refused to target it, and worked. At school, I got on the honor roll. I worked hard, kept working hard, and then continued to work hard, even when I got into university.
Congratulations to John Wilczuk.
I graduated and then got out and opened my own car shop. I bought a nice house, met a good woman, and had a baby. I made friends with the locals, got steady business, and even managed to buy my first supercar. On the day I took it out for a drive, it was my 25th birthday. I'd arranged with my employees to take the day off, and they were more than happy to cover me. I was driving down the street when a car suddenly veered into my lane and crashed straight into my car. The first thing I did was jump out of the car and run over to their car. Hey, are you okay?
Oh my God, you destroyed my car.
I did? You're the one that veered into my lane.
I'm calling the police.
The police arrived on the scene not much later and arranged to have both the cars taken to my store.
John, hey, how are you doing, my man? Any injuries?
Just to my car. It was brand new.
These out-of-towners are wild.
Whose side are you on?
Miss, you're under arrest for reckless driving. John, if you want to join us downtown, we can help you file charges.
But he broke my car.
Miss, we have camera footage that says otherwise.
They read her rights as our cars were towed away. My poor car barely got to take her first steps because some random lady went and ruined it. Except, she wasn't random. At the station, the officer told me what a strange coincidence it was that we had the same name. What's her first name? Alina. It was my sister. I went into the interrogation room to talk to her. Alina.
How do you know my name?
It's me, John, your brother. She smiled, relieved, but I couldn't fathom why. You're going to pay for every single penny of that car that you broke today.
My husband will pay for it, though I don't know why you wouldn't let me off. I'm your sister.
Maybe so, but only in name. You're nothing to me. And your husband told the officer that called that he was done with you. So, here are your options. Either you go to prison and earn the money for my car for as long as you're there, or you can work for me.
Work for you?
I have a family now, and my wife works hard. She doesn't have time to keep up menial tasks around the house. I think it's time for us to hire a cleaner. And what better than someone who will work for free?
Free? That's slavery.
No, it's not. You're paying off damages, and you can either do that in prison or in my house. Your choice. I walked out of the room and asked the officers to give me her answer for tomorrow. She needed time to sit and think. The next evening, I got a call. My sister had made her decision. She had been handed the divorce papers and left absolutely penniless. Alongside owing me money, she now had to pay her husband damages. She was absolutely awful, hot, but spoiled. Not worth the effort. She was dropped off at my door, and my wife immediately set her to work. Alina cleaned up after dinner, took out bags of diapers, washed the windows, vacuumed the floor, and cleaned up every mess we made. A few days later, I hosted a party. Not just any party, one attended by people from our childhood, former friends, family members, even my parents, who had long since regretted their favoritism, but were too ashamed to reach out. Alina was required to serve drinks and clean up after everyone. Her former friends whispered and giggled, some taking pictures as she scrubbed plates. The ultimate social downfall. As she carried a tray, one of my employees accidentally bumped into her. The tray clattered to the floor, drinks spilling everywhere.
You did that on purpose.
Maybe, but you deserve it, don't you? Alina fumed but stayed silent. She had no choice. I owned her debt, and she had to work it off. But the final blow? I had her sign legal papers ensuring she would pay me back for the damages, including emotional distress. My lawyer made sure it was airtight.
This isn't fair. I was just a kid back then.
And now you're an adult facing consequences. Her husband had divorced her. She was broke, and now she was legally bound to pay me every last cent. She had spent her life being spoiled. Now, she would spend the rest of it repaying what she took from me. Revenge had never tasted sweeter. Thanks for watching.
When I got accepted into an advanced class, my dad literally yawned in response.
An advanced class, huh? It better not cost us any money. We need to pay for Jake and his friends to go camping next month. Thanks, Dad. That trip is really important to me, but at any rate, who cares? No one likes nerds, Denise.
I care. It took a lot of effort and hard work to be accepted into the class, and don't worry, it doesn't cost anything. But it will help out later when I apply for college.
Oh, okay. That's good because we really can only afford to pay for the trip right now.
Oh my God, Dad. What is even the purpose for the trip? What did Jake do to earn the right for such an expensive trip?
He works really hard in school, and he could use the break to unwind and relax.
That's it?
Yeah, moron. Mom and Dad don't want me becoming a basket case like you, so they make sure that I don't become stressed out.
My blood was boiling, and my parents and Jake just laughed. They were clearly amused by how irritated I was. As we got older, Jake only got worse. He realized that no matter what he did, our parents would always take his side. So he took full advantage of it. He bullied me constantly, stealing my things, blaming me for his mistakes. And every time, my parents defended him. Hey there, my name is Denise, and I always knew my family loved my brother more. It wasn't even subtle. From the time we were kids, my parents made it painfully clear that they preferred Jake over me. I don't know if it was because he was their son or if there was some other reason. It really didn't matter. But Jake was always the one who could do no wrong, the one who deserved everything he wanted. And me? I was just the extra, the shadow in the background. At first, I thought it was in my head. I wanted to believe my parents loved us equally, but as I got older, the truth became impossible to ignore. For example, when I was 8, I spent weeks preparing for the school spelling bee. I practiced every day, studied every word, and when the big day came, I won first place. I came home, beaming with pride, clutching my little gold trophy. I was so proud of my accomplishment, but the way my parents reacted deflated my ego. Mom, Dad, I won.
You won? What did you win?
The spelling bee that I have been practicing for. I won first place.
Oh, that's nice, sweetie. But did you hear? Jake made the soccer team. We're going out to celebrate his achievement by treating him to pizza. I suppose we'll bring some back for you too.
I stood there, trophy in hand, as they rushed over to him, showering him with praise. He hadn't even played a game yet. He had just made the team. I swallowed my disappointment and rushed to my bedroom crying. Maybe next time, I thought. Maybe, if I worked even harder, they'd notice me. But they never did. When Jake got a B on his report card, my parents threw a celebratory party. When I got straight A's, silence. When I got accepted into an advanced class, my dad literally yawned in response.
An advanced class, huh? It better not cost us any money. We need to pay for Jake and his friends to go camping next month. Thanks, Dad. That trip is really important to me, but at any rate, who cares? No one likes nerds, Denise.
I care. It took a lot of effort and hard work to be accepted into the class, and don't worry, it doesn't cost anything. But it will help out later when I apply for college.
Oh, okay. That's good because we really can only afford to pay for the trip right now.
Oh my God, Dad. What is even the purpose for the trip? What did Jake do to earn the right for such an expensive trip?
He works really hard in school, and he could use the break to unwind and relax.
That's it?
Yeah, moron. Mom and Dad don't want me becoming a basket case like you, so they make sure that I don't become stressed out.
My blood was boiling, and my parents and Jake just laughed. They were clearly amused by how irritated I was. As we got older, Jake only got worse. He realized that no matter what he did, our parents would always take his side. So he took full advantage of it. He bullied me constantly, mocking me, stealing my things, blaming me for his mistakes. And every time, my parents defended him. Once when I was 12, Jake pushed me down the stairs. I sprained my wrist and had to wear a brace for weeks. He pushed me.
It was an accident. Stop being so dramatic. Yeah, Denise, you should really watch where you're going. You really should, Denise. I hope you know that we fully expect you to pay us back. Your medical bills weren't free, you know.
He had attacked me and caused pain and suffering, and I was expected to foot the bill for it. I could see the smug look on his face. He knew he would always get away with it. And he did. Then there was the time that both Jake and I attended a party. It was the one time that we did anything remotely together. We of course traveled there separately, as he wouldn't dream of being seen with me. At any rate, we got home around the same time. It was after our curfew, but since Jake was also late, I had assumed that it wouldn't be a big deal. But nope, I was wrong.
Denise, are you coming home at 1 a.m.?
Yeah. Sorry, Dad. The party went later than I expected, but both Jake and I got home safe and sound.
Don't try to blame him for this. You have no excuses for misbehaving like this.
I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that he is also coming home late.
Yeah, but it's cool, right, Dad? Of course, Jake. Boys will be boys after all.
All I could do was roll my eyes. Meanwhile, Jake just walked into the house, and when I went to follow him in, my father pushed me backwards and then slammed the door in my face and locked me out. I was beyond angry. Both of us were out past curfew, but I was the only one being punished. What was worse was that I was sober and hadn't been drinking, but Jake was wasted and my dad didn't even care. We were both underage, but somehow, I was still the villain. Jake grew up into a selfish, arrogant jerk, completely incapable of taking responsibility for anything. He barely graduated high school, jumped from job to job, and still, my parents worshipped him. Meanwhile, I worked my ass off. I got into college, earned a degree, and built a life for myself. But no matter how much I achieved, it was never enough for them. I had been living on my own for a few years, finally free from my family's constant favoritism. But they still found ways to disrupt my life. Jake was constantly asking for money, and my parents always expected me to help.
Denise, can you lend Jake some money? He's having a rough time.
Mom, he's always having a rough time. Besides, I just gave him money last month. What happened to that?
Sweetie, you know how hard things are for him. He's trying his best.
But what did he even spend the $2,000 on that I lent him?
Oh, he went partying, I think. But he's working so hard that he needed to have a little fun. You understand, right?
I was fuming. I really needed that money, and I knew that Jake would never pay me back. Jake wasn't trying at all. He was spending all his money on partying and bad decisions, knowing our parents would always bail him out. And then came the worst moment of all. I had just bought my first house. It was the proudest moment of my life. I had worked so hard to afford it, and it was finally mine. Then one evening, my parents showed up with Jake.
Denise, we need a favor.
Really? I'm shocked. What is the favor?
Jake's landlord kicked him out. He needs a place to stay.
I laughed. A full, bitter laugh. You cannot be serious.
He's your brother.
And he's a grown man. He can figure it out.
Don't be selfish, Denise. Family helps each other.
I looked at Jake. He was smirking. He knew exactly how this would play out. He was confident they would guilt me into letting him move in. But not this time. I had had my fill of their nonsense, and I was no longer going to play along with it. No, absolutely not. There is no way I will let that jerk into my home. They were stunned. They had never heard me say no before.
Denise, please. He has nowhere else to go.
That's not my problem. Jake's smirk faded.
You're such a beach, you know that? How can you be so selfish?
Ha, that's rich. Well, it's been nice, but I would like to be left alone. Leave my property or I'll call the police. That was it. That was my breaking point. I had spent my whole life being ignored, used, and manipulated. But now, I was done playing nice. If they wanted to see a selfish Denise, I would show them one. Jake still owed me over $15,000 from all the loans I had given him over the years, so I filed a lawsuit against him for the full amount. He didn't take it seriously until he got the court notice. Thankfully, I had a friend that was a lawyer that had agreed to help me for free. Sending out the subpoenas made my heart soar as I knew that justice would finally be served. The day after he received the subpoenas, Jake and my parents came to confront me.
Are you kidding me, Denise? You're actually suing me? I don't even have a place to live, let alone $15,000.
That's not really my problem. You need to pay me back or deal with the consequences. My parents were furious.
How could you do this to your own brother?
How could he leech off of us without ever growing up? How could you raise such a failure? I get that you're upset, but I need that money. And unlike Jake, I won't squander it on stupid, useless crap. Jake tried to ignore the lawsuit, but it didn't go away. On the day the court was to hear my case, he didn't even bother to show up. As a result, the court ruled entirely in my favor, and I was awarded not only the $15,000, but also interest as well. Of course, he didn't have any money, so his wages at the minimum wage job that he had started getting garnished. Desperate, Jake turned to his friends. He had been hanging out with some really rough people, and they listened to his problems and gave him a terrible solution. They told him that all he had to do to clear up his money problems was to rob a bank. And of course, that is exactly what he and his stupid friends did. They got masks and guns and actually even pulled it off. I don't know how much money they actually got, but it must have been a lot as he immediately began to spend it like it was burning a hole in his pocket. He of course didn't use any of it to pay me back, and instead just started partying. He was drinking all the time and doing drugs. Of course, he and his friends weren't seasoned criminals, and during the robbery, they left all kinds of evidence behind, and the police were able to figure out who the culprits were very easily. Jake, at the time, was laying low at our parents' house. I know for a fact that they knew what he had done, but they loved him so much that they were willing to harbor a criminal and look the other way. Within a few weeks of living like a king in my parents' basement, the police paid Jake a visit and started asking questions. Jake freaked out, and a tense standoff followed, which led to a gunfight in which Jake was killed. My parents were thankfully not home at the time, but police charged them with harboring a fugitive, and they were sent to prison for a couple years as a result. By the time they were released from prison, they had lost everything: their house, their savings, and their jobs. Desperate for money, they came to my company looking for employment. They thought that I would take pity on them since they had lost a son, and I had lost a brother, but they were mistaken. I did hire them, but I assigned them the hardest, most grueling tasks imaginable. When they couldn't keep up, I fired them without pay and cut off all contact. Eventually, they were forced to leave town as they couldn't afford to live in the small, cramped apartment that they had found after living in prison. They traveled to go stay with distant relatives, but unfortunately, karma wouldn't let them leave without paying them a visit, and they got into a car crash on the way. The crash left my mom seriously hurt, and as a result, her leg had to be amputated. Since then, my dad works for a construction company and takes care of her. I can't imagine that they are very happy with their lives, and I have heard from my aunt who they are staying with that they whine and cry every night, and that she is near to the point where she will kick them out. And as for me, without their toxic presence in my life, I excelled at work, made new friends, and even started traveling, something I had always dreamed of, but never had the courage to do. Years later, my mom tried to reach out again.
Denise, please, we miss you. Can't we fix this?
I thought about everything they had put me through. The years of neglect, the favoritism, the way they treated me like I was nothing while they worshipped Jake. Then, I responded, "No, I don't need you anymore. I just wish that I had realized that I never did when I was younger. I probably would have had a much happier life. Goodbye, Mom." And I never looked back. I used to think I had to earn my family's love, that if I worked hard enough, if I was successful enough, they'd finally see my worth. But the truth? Some people will never respect you. Some people will never love you the way you deserve. And the best revenge? Living a life so good they hate that they're not part of it. I spent my whole life trying to prove myself to them, but in the end, the only person I needed to prove anything to was me. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.